In this video, I will create a sanitary and a vent plumbing system for a bathroom core. I'm going to show different ways to model this system in 3D as well as in a floor plan view, and also set it up to calculate total fixture units. I will go ahead and create a new project, and in the drop-down menu I have my own plumbing template. I'm going to select it and click OK. It is going to take a while to update the template from Revit 2020 version. I keep my plumbing template in Revit 2020 because if I need to make updates, I can still use it in a later version of Revit. For everyone's benefit, I will just fast forward. This is the start page of my template, and I will scroll down in the project browser to select plumbing first floor view. I need to link an architectural file, and if I go in my C drive, program files, Autodesk Revit 2022, I can find a folder with sample projects. I will just select this arch link model and click open. I want to give myself some space and expand this crop region to see the whole building. If I want to find the room tags for this linked Revit file, I will need to override visibility and graphics. Under Revit links category, this linked file's display settings is set to by host view. But if I click on it, a pop-up window will show and I can choose to display by linked view, and when I check that, I can access this drop-down menu where I can choose to display according to one of the plan view created by the designer of this linked project. I'm going to select this first option and just press apply to see how it shows, and it looks pretty nice and colorful, but that's not what I'm looking for, so I will try another floor plan view. And this looks more like what I'm looking for, so I can click OK. I also want to check underlay so nothing from the linked file can obscure what I'm modeling, and I will check halftone. This crop region needs to be adjusted a little bit, and I'm zooming in this area where I can see a man and a woman's bathroom. Also, there is a utility room that I will use as a janitor room, even if it has no doors to access it. This linked file does not show any plumbing fixtures, therefore I'll have to place my own. I will start with a water closet, pick one from the plumbing fixture list, use spacebar to flip it and place it right here on this wall. I hit escape on my keyboard and right click close to this connector to select draw pipe from the drop down menu. Since this is a waste, I want to change my pipe type to cast iron no hub, and I will draw a short line like so. I will deactivate thin lines, and I feel that sanitary lines are too wide, but I can fix that if I override the visibility under filters tab, where I can set the weight of my sanitary line to 5. And since I am here already, I will also override vent lines and set it to 4. I will eventually place a urinal on the other side, which means I need a single carrier for this water closet. I'm going to place it a little higher, around here, and while the carrier is selected, I will mirror it by drawing an axis. I can also draw a short pipeline by clicking on this tiny P-trap symbol. If I click on this pipe, I can see the middle elevation right here, and this elevation needs to match the water closet pipe elevations, otherwise I won't be able to connect them together. To show this better, I will make a selection and type BX on my keyboard. That will create a 3D section box of these elements. I want to close this window because I do not need it anymore, and now I can split the window in two by using WT shortcut on my keyboard. Using my middle mouse scroll button, I can spin around my selection box, and the walls are obstructing my view, but I can override that in my 3D view if I go to Revit Links tab and check underlay box. I will expand this box a little bit, and I will select this pipe and then click on the front side of the 3D cube to show you better what I mean when I say I need to match the elevations of these two pipes. If I put this carrier to the left, I can see that I cannot connect the pipes, since one is way lower than the other. That's why I need to copy the mid elevation of this pipe and paste it to this other pipe in the properties panel. Now the pipes are perfectly aligned in vertical plane. I'm going back to my plan view, delete this segment of the pipe, and I also need to align everything on the horizontal plane as well. Once everything is perfectly aligned, I can select the water closet pipe and hold click to extend it to the connector of the carrier. And using my keyboard arrows, I can also move it closer to the center. I can make a selection box and create a copy of these elements using CO on my keyboard, and I will type 4 to set it to 4 feet away. For back-to-back water closets, I need a double carrier, and I will flip it in place and put it right here. And when I select this water closet, I can create another copy 4 feet away. Using create similar command, I will place one more here. I will select this water closet and use right click at the connector point to draw a pipe, and the middle elevation is 7/332 of an inch. I will draw a short pipe and check the elevation, and then double check if it matches the carrier elevation without actually drawing the line. All I need to do now is to align the carrier connector with the pipeline, and also I want to align the double carrier with the single one. All I have to do now is to drag this short piece of pipe to connect. And since that these carriers are too close to the right wall, I will select all three of them using Ctrl on my keyboard and push them a little bit to the left to give myself some space. Now I can just draw a pipe from the water closet to the carrier. I will create a copy of these back-to-back water closets and set it at 6 feet away, assuming that these are supposed to be ADA. Now I'm going to start drawing in my 2D floor plan view, but I will set the 3D section box so I can see better what I'm actually modeling. I need to cap this connector of this single carrier, and I will draw a short pipe. Then I will change the slope, set it up to 12/12, which means I will draw a 45-degree angle in vertical plane. Then turn off the slope and turn towards men's bathroom and cap it. In my template, the first fitting used to cap cast iron pipes is a blind plug, but if I click on the drop down menu, I can replace it with a cleanout. The size of the cleanout annotation is way too big for this scale, but since I designed it to be scalable, when I select it and go to edit type, I have something called Anno D, and I can set it up to 4 inches. I will now go with the flow and draw a pipe, but I don't want to connect it to the next carrier. Instead, I will select the carrier and click on connect into. There are 3 open connectors to this carrier, so I need to make sure I select the right one from this pop-up window. I found out that when using connect into keeps all the elements on the same sanitary system, and there are less errors in terms of calculating total fixture units. Now I will draw another short pipe from this double carrier, and I want to see if I can get total fixture units to this point. In this plumbing template I have a lot of pipe tags, and I will tag this pipe, but this is not the tag I'm looking for, so in the properties panel from the drop down menu I will look for the fixture units tag. This tag needs some sort of arrowhead that I can easily change from edit type and set it to a loop. And this is the total fixture units for what I connected so far to this sanitary system. 6 water closets at 4 fixture units each equals 24. I need to connect this to a pipe that goes below ground outside of the building. Since it is below ground, I need to change the elevation to -3, for example, and I will draw a line like so. And then I get this error and there is no pipe. Why is there no pipe? If I go to view range, I will notice that the bottom and the view depth are set to 0, referencing first floor, but my pipe is at -3 feet. Therefore, I need to set the view depth to -3 feet or more in order to show this in my view. To make this go faster, I will not set up a slope for the pipes I'm modeling. Next step is to model a riser to connect into. If I use draw pipe, I see that my current elevation is -3. Therefore, if I model a pipe in any direction, it will be at -3. Instead, I will change mid elevation to plus 10 feet, and if I draw a pipe now, it will be at 10 feet. But instead of actually drawing another segment of pipe, I will just hit apply and I just created a riser. That looks like a circle in my plan view, and I will use trim and extend single element to connect to these carriers. Now I will press escape on my keyboard and I will extend this section box a little bit more in all directions for a better visibility. If I create another fixture tag and place it here, it looks like calculation of fixture units does not work, and one of the reasons is because, generally speaking, in order for the system to compute fixture units, it needs to have only one open connection. Currently I have two open connections, one going outside of the building at -3 feet and one on the riser. If I select the riser and hit cap open ends, I can now see total fixture units. I need to extend this pipe, and in order to do so I will select this fitting and hit the plus symbol. For who wants to be very technical, this is not the right fitting, but I can easily swap it with a combo in the properties panel. I will draw a pipe from the open end of the combo and extend it a little bit, and even in this 3D view I can draw a 45-degree angle if I use the blue angle guides. This line will be used to connect urinals, mop sink and drains. Considering that I have an open connector again, total fixture units show 0 again. Currently all this piping has a 4-inch diameter. If I want to reduce this line to 3 inches, I will just use draw pipe and set the diameter to 3. Now I will move to my plan view and drag this 3-inch line to here. To place the urinals, I will use plumbing fixture command and select the one I need. It has to be placed on the face of a wall, and I will place 2 of them on the men's bathroom. Also, I will use a line tool to make them match the water closet, and I guess I need to uncheck multiple alignment to do that. Now I want to connect this urinal into this line, but I need to give myself some space for the bend fitting, so I will push it to the left using keyboard arrows. I can now select the urinal and click connect into. I need to make sure I use the 2-inch sanitary outlet, and I will click the 3 inches line below. Also I need to do the same for this other urinal. Just to double check there are no errors in the system, I will zoom out a little and cap the end of this run. Now the fixture unit tag shows 28, which is what it's supposed to be. These urinals will need venting, so if I select these 2 fittings, I can turn them into sanitary tees by clicking the tiny blue plus icon, and because I have open ends again, my bottom fixture units show 0 again. I also need a mop sink, and I have a corner one in my template. Let's flip it around and place it somewhere here in the corner. Coming from this line that is at -3 feet, I will draw a line towards the sink, and now in order to connect, I will set up the elevation to -1 foot 4 and continue the line to connect to the sink. The reason I use this routing is because I need a vent here, and also I want to turn this bend into a P-trap. A janitor room usually has a drain, so I will look for my 2-inch round drain in the drop down panel, and I can place one right here. Then I need one in the men's restroom and another one on the same line in the woman's side. The symbol of this drain is scalable, which means that if I go to edit type, I can change annotation size and make it slightly bigger. I need a 2-inch line to connect to it, But since I used create similar command, Revit now thinks that I want to model at the same elevation of the pipe I just clicked on, but instead I will change it to -1 foot and 4 inches, and I can connect straight to the drain. A vent is also needed for this drain, and if the tiny plus icon is hard to distinguish, I can always revolve around the selected fitting and then turn it into a sanitary T. A drain also needs a P-trap, but with an inlet for the trap primer. I need to connect the other two drains, but I will move this 3D view around so I can see better and create a similar pipe but with a 2-inch diameter and at -1.4 elevation, and I want to connect and maybe seems that this line is not straight because it snapped to the middle of the pipe. So let me zoom in a little bit and try this again. I want the line to be perfectly aligned with the drain, and the dashed blue line indicates that I am, so I can just draw to the center of the drain. Here eventually I will need to have a cross fitting, and I can make a Santi first, and from the top connector I can draw a pipe, and if I would try and draw a pipe right now, it would not be possible because there is no space for the fitting. So I will change the elevation to 3 feet, and I would have enough space for a bent fitting, but for now I will just hit apply. This pipe should be a vent, so in order to change that I need to disconnect it from the current system by dragging the bottom up just a little bit, and here at the bottom of the properties panel I can just change from waste above ground to vent above ground, and then select the Santi and connect into the vent. Once I did this, the Santi has another plus button that it will turn into a cross T, and actually let's say I want a double combo here, and I can draw a line towards the other drain. And I need to be careful when I draw because the pipe will try to connect at or in any highlighted element. Let me move this around to avoid this problem, and I will stop short right here, select the drain, and then click connect into the pipe. This drain needs some P-traps, and I can easily set that up in my template where all the fittings in the routing preferences are interchangeable. Let's assume that I just changed my mind, and actually all this segment I'm selecting right now has to be 2 inches. I just need to split the pipe, make a couple of selection boxes, accept the coupling. I also need the P-trap and the Santi, and set the diameter to 2 inches. Now I will start modeling the vent system using pipe command. I will leave the diameter as it is and set the elevation to 4.6, and the system type has to be vent above ground, and I will draw a line in plan view like so. Now I'm going to align this pipe with the sanitary system that connects the carriers. Once aligned, I can just select this carrier, select connect into, and click on the floating vent pipe. In my 3D view, I can just select the open connector of the pipe and extend it holding shift key to make sure it stays straight. Back to the plan view, I can extend it a little more, and then if I type 10 and click apply, I will model a riser and maybe move it a little using my keyboard arrows. Let me just shift this 3D view because I'm gonna focus on this area. I will draw another vent pipe, this time at 5.6 elevation, go straight up and turn right. I want this vent riser to be 3 inches, so first I need to split the pipe, then select the upper segment and then turn the diameter to 3 inches. When I select this pipe segment, I can revolve around it, and seems that I need some space. I can turn this fitting into a quarter bend, and to drop this reducer I can select it, click on the right side of the 3D cube, and now I can just use my arrow keys to nudge it down just a little bit. And also I can select this line and nudge it up to give myself enough space for a santee. I can now flip the santee, and in order to finish this vent line, I need to go back to my plan view and align this segment with the sanitary line. When the vent and sanitary line are aligned, it is easy for me to connect the fittings to the pipes. Select this santee and connect into this. Sometimes this will not work because some fittings are too close to each other, and I assume that is the case with the bend and the santee of the riser being too close to each other. And if I try to connect again, it should work. Looks like this vertical segment is green, which means it is sanitary. If I want to change that, I have to drag this segment of the pipe up while holding Shift key, connect the sanitary T, and I can also select this other santee and connect it too into the vent line. Let me flip the santee, and if I select this, I can also do the same for this carry. Maybe not for this one. Let me try this other one, and I want to flip the santee as well. Careful not to drag the pipe instead. And there is one more single carrier that also has to be connected. There are other ways to connect these vents. For example, if I select this carrier that didn't work, I see a tiny icon that when I click on it I can draw a vent. But since I want to draw vertically, I just need to change the elevation, and if I match it with the horizontal line above, it will automatically connect. And I want to flip this again. It might be hard to see these tiny flip arrows. It always helps if I zoom in a little bit, and since I did that for the vent, I will do the same for sanitary system and turn these fittings into combos. And the only reason these cast iron fittings are interchangeable is because I created my own, and I have a video about how I did that. I just need to keep in mind that for all this to work I need to have enough space. I will just move around the 3D view, and my next step will be to connect the vents for urinals and drains, but again I need to give myself enough space, so I will turn these santees into tap tees, and if I select this pipe in plan view I can nudge it to the right until I get this error. I will start with this pipe and drop top elevation to 2 feet. I will draw a pipe making sure my slope is 12 inches per foot, or in other words 45 degrees, and I will try to connect, and the reason it is not working is because it is probably trying to connect to the pipe sanitary line below. I could hide the sanitary just to connect the pipe, but just to show another option I will draw a pipe again and not connect it yet. Then draw again, changing the elevation to 4.6 and then hit apply. Now I will extend the center of this pipe to the vent line, and I can now connect. Let me flip the sanitary T fitting, and probably I should have done this earlier. I will go to analyze and uncheck show disconnects for my pipes. Now the image is not as crowded. I will try to connect this fitting to the vent coming from the single carrier. To do that, select the fitting, draw pipe, set it at a higher elevation, hit apply, select pipe again, and shorten the bottom so I can go and change the system to vent, select the fitting again and connect into the pipe. I will use draw pipe again and make sure my slope is set to 12 inches per foot, and I need to draw this line as close as I can to the vent I want to connect into, but I need to be careful because if I draw and click by mistakes some element of the system, it will try to connect to that, so maybe somewhere here is fine. Now if I try to connect I will get an error. Instead, I will change the view to coarse, and this way I will just see the axis of my pipes. Now I can simply drag and connect. When I change the view back to fine, I have this funky fitting that can be easily swapped with a Y. For the other urinal, I will just hover my pointer of the mouse over this segment and hit Tab key once and use the copy command to duplicate this from the center of this urinal to the center of the other one. Going back to my 3D view, this pipe might look like it is connected, but it is actually not. So I need to select the Tab T and connect into vertical segment. And since everything is copied and aligned, I can just extend and connect. The only thing left to do now is to turn this into a Y. At this point, this is how everything looks like in 3D, but I cannot see the total fixture units at the end of the line. That's because I have two open connectors in the system and I need to have only one. Therefore, if I cap this vent, now I can see total fixture units. Since there is a second floor, there is no need for me to redo all this. I can just simply copy the whole thing and connect the sanitary and vent risers. But first I must go to an elevation view and make sure that my second floor matches the linked file second floor. I am in my south elevation view and it's kind of hard to distinguish my level lines. Let me try to extend them all the way to the right end, and I might have to zoom a little bit more and then use the align tool to match the two levels. I will close this view now. I can just simply hover my mouse over this pipe and hit tab a few times until the whole system is highlighted, including plumbing fixtures. Select this whole system and we'll click copy, then paste a line to selected levels and select second floor from this pop-up list. I need to delete these elements and drag this pipe a little down and then drag the top one in order to connect them both. And when I did that, it also connected the horizontal line, but I did not set this sanitary T in the right direction, so I will have to do it. I also have to connect the vent riser, so I will make a square selection to delete these elements. Also, I need to get rid of this cap, and then I will drag the top pipe all the way down till I see the purple circle that hints I can connect to the center of the pipe. Now I need to extend this line to connect to the riser, and also this fitting will have to connect to the riser. But seems that there is a clash here with the wall cleanout. I will select the cleanout and hit the right side of the 3D cube. I will move to the left and move this riser to the right. There might not be enough space to keep going, so I might have to select this fitting and the one on the first floor and turn them into quarter bands. Now I gave myself some space and I can move it as far as I can to the right. Now there are two open connections and my fixtures are not calculated. Let's try capping this pipe. And it seems like it didn't work. I will just delete this segment, select the sanitary T, and there is a tiny minus icon that when I click on it, it will turn into a bend. Now I have only one open connection, but my total fixture units are still 0. I found that if I replace this inlet P-trap with a regular P-trap, we'll fix this problem. It seems that this happens because here I have a cross fitting that has 3 sanitary connections and one that is a vent. Or sometimes the sanitary T, for example, has 2 sanitary connections and one vent. But it turns out that if I swap a fitting close to these points that create a disturbance in the system, I can eventually force it to calculate total fixture units. I am almost done. I just need some lavatories. I will select this pipe that is a -3 feet elevation and create a similar pipe that it will have a 2-inch diameter and make sure my slope is off. Like I said, I'm not going to use slope in this project just to make it go faster. I will draw a line to the right and one to the left with a 45-degree bend. Back to my 3D view, I can connect these lines to the main using extend single element. I want this Sanity to become a combo and then switch to plan view and extend this line all the way to this wall, and then I can change this elevation to 20 feet and hit apply in order to create a riser. And also I will have to do the same to create another riser in the wall on the other side. I need some lavatories. I will use this one because it is the easiest to place. I will select this riser pipe and use create similar, but I will change the elevation to 6 inches and draw a line that is perpendicular to the riser. If it is not perfectly perpendicular, I won't be able to connect them together. This lavatory has sanitary connection that when I click on it I can draw a pipe. However, the default connection will not work. I need to drop to, let's say, 1'6" so I can draw a horizontal line. And it is easier to go back to my plan view, drag this line backwards and then forward again to connect to the pipe below. When selected, this fitting shows a tiny plus button that when I click on it turns into a sanitary T, and I can replace it with a tap T. Again, the direction of this fitting is wrong and also has to be a combo. And also, since this is a lavatory, I will need to show a P-trap. Now I need to duplicate this. I will make a selection box. I can minus this combo to exclude it by holding Shift key. Select my first floor view and make 2 more copies of these lavatories. I will use trim and extend to connect this line with a tiny segment of the pipe here. That is probably too hard to see. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and after I connect I will turn this Sanity into a combo. These lavatories also need a vent. I can select the Sanity, draw a pipe and set the elevation at 4 feet and draw a horizontal line going this way, and then set up middle elevation to 20 feet and click apply. To change this into a vent, I need to separate the pipe from sanitary system, turn it into a vent system and then reconnect. The other fittings are easy to connect. The only thing I need to do is to make sure fittings are facing the right directions. Now in my plan view I will use tab on my keyboard a few times to select all these elements, and I will mirror everything to the other side, making sure I check copy. While I still have this selected, I will tab a few times and hold Ctrl key to add the other lavatories to my selection, hit copy and paste to selected levels and choose second floor. I can use extend single element to connect this line to the riser and trim and extend for second floor. Also, to connect the vent, I need to turn this vent into a T and then shorten this pipe segment, select the fitting and connect into the pipe. As for the other side, if I orbit around, I can see the pipes are not aligned. Before I go and align them, I will use the same procedure to connect the vent riser first. And when I'm done with that, I will jump to my plan view and I can align to the center of the pipe riser. Now everything is aligned, so I can easily connect to the other unconnected pipe to the riser. Total fixture units is 0 again, and if I have 2 more vents that are not capped, seems that just by replacing the P-trap for one of the drains, it will fix the system and I can see total fixture units. In the Annotation tab, I will go to Tag All and check Plumbing Fixture tag. Make sure I have the right tag. Check Leader and set the length to 1/8 of an inch to offset them from the fixture units. I can select all of them now and uncheck Ladder or Leader. This Lavatory does not have a type mark. I will just set one now. This change will affect all of them. Now I have a 3D isometric model, a plan view that I can show total fixture units, and all I need to do is to use the right tags and labels. There are some common errors that I need to be aware of. This riser should show a full circle, but the reason it shows a half circle is because the top range of my view is set above the pipe elevation when it turns horizontal. So to fix that, the top range has to cut through the pipe in order to see a full circle. Therefore, I will set it to -3 feet under second floor. For example, I would like to show the vent dash line and not the green continuous line of the sanitary pipe. I can override graphics in this view, and under Filters tab I can uncheck the visibility for vent systems. While holding Ctrl, I will select all the pipes that have a vent directly above them, and I don't want to forget the other lavies, and I can right click and hide them in this view. When I'm done, I can go back and under Filters check visibility for vents, and now I can see the dash line for vents, which will definitely make it less confusing, especially if you want to print only in black.